I do have a sponsor in today's video, War Thunder, but more on that shortly. It has been 2 years. Well, technically 1 year, 351 days, 3 hours, 13 minutes, and 42 seconds at the time of this video going live. Fact check me. Since the official release of Baldur's Gate 3 on PC, as consoles came a little bit later. Oh my god, I'm like, let's go. I can't believe it. Look at the background right here. Look at the city. Look at Worms Crossing Bridge, the upper city, Ramesses Town. And my oh my, what a journey it has been since pretty much 2019 for some of us, which is when Larian released their Baldur's Gate 3 cinematic announcement trailer. And the hype started to build, albeit for a much more niche crowd of gamers at that time. This video, as you can tell, is quite long. I'm going to be talking a lot of Baldur's Gate 3, where we're at now, a bit of a journey through the past, as well as a shorter, more personal section on what this game has meant to myself as well as my channel. As always, chapter markers below. Let's start off with where Baldur's Gate 3 is at today. On the BG3 Steam page, out of 679,000 reviews, BG3 is still sitting at an overwhelmingly positive rating with 96% positive, and recent reviews also reflect a similar sentiment. Even 2 years later, it's still common to see reviews that make some pretty bold claims like this. So yeah, this is one of the greatest video games ever made, and everyone thinks I'm really cool and wants to have sex with me. The fuck? Tell the truth. How many of you guys did it? Tell the truth. Tell the truth as long as your real name isn't your actual YouTube profile name. 1,000 out of 10, and even better with friends so they can make bad decisions right alongside you. I'm also still seeing plenty of reviews from more old school gamers who played a lot of RPGs during the 90s and early 2000s. These guys are, where are they going? This will be interesting. That's one way to get there. You could have just taken a left and gone straight. Rating Baldur's Gate 3 right up there with, or even higher than, some of their favorite classic RPGs of all time. And that says a lot.
What's your name?
My name is Wolf.
Not even last night's storm could wake you.
I could sleep through a hurricane. How about you?
Quiet. Here comes the guard.
See you later, dipshit.
Better do what they say.
You better shut the fuck up. Once I get my first dagger, I'm gonna come back here and stick it through your f***ing ears. I'll be teabagging your body.
When it comes to video games, if you're a true gamer, you have to experience this on your own. Once in a lifetime, you get a game like this. Just be happy it was your lifetime and you can experience it. But perhaps my favorite type of review to read that appears to still be coming in quite strong to this day deals with gamers who never thought they would enjoy a CRPG style game, or even RPGs in general, but decided to give Baldur's Gate 3 a try and have now become fans of the RPG genre as a whole. I was never sold on this being my kind of game, however I played it for 20 minutes and was immediately hooked. My first 100 hours I did my first campaign, and when it was finished I already was booting up for a second. I've come back to it after a break, and honestly, hands down, one of the best games I've ever played. I even have multiple friends who mostly play live service type games like Warframe, Counter-Strike, Overwatch, and Destiny, who told me that they were playing Baldur's Gate 3 to my surprise, and then even more surprisingly, they completed the entirety of Baldur's Gate 3 alone, not even playing multiplayer. Shout out to 2bit and Kyle. Now there is of course still negative reviews coming in, although they are still in the extreme minority, and when combing through a few of the recent ones, they tend to criticize one of 3 categories. Performance, as some appear to still be having some problems such as crashing, which may or may not be the game itself. I still see a few story complaints here and there, which although I very much enjoyed the story myself, I come from the perspective of knowing Forgotten Realms lore really well.
From the deepest corners of the Forgotten Realms, hello to the Wolf Pack. I'm Ed Greenwood. I'm the creator of the Forgotten Realms,
which I think added a ton of enjoyment to my BG3 runs, so I can totally understand some folks just not vibing with it. And I also see reviews saying that the game is too slow or that it's a bit too complex when it comes to UI, rules, mechanics, etc. And slowness and complexity just tends to be the nature of the CRPG genre, so not really a complaint on the game itself so much. This seems to be more so a dislike of the CRPG genre in general, although I do believe there is plenty of more nuanced, fair criticisms to be given to BG3. Regardless, Larian killed it, and it was actually quite surprising, as many of us, including Larian themselves, didn't expect this many folks to be interested in this style of game, which has always been a bit niche when in comparison to the more mainstream action RPG genre with games like The Witcher and The Elder Scrolls. Larian's owner and creative director Sven Vinka even publicly stated that his expectations were 100,000 concurrent Steam player peak around the time of the game's release. And well, Baldur's Gate 3 ended up hitting over 875,000 concurrent players, putting it at the time in the top 10 most played games of all time on Steam. And this doesn't even include GOG players or console players. In current times, BG3 has been pushed out of the top 10 and is now at number 13, just behind Hogwarts Legacy. But damn, that is super impressive for a CRPG coming out of an independent studio. Over on the PlayStation Store, Baldur's Gate 3 is currently sitting at 4.8 out of 5 stars. In the Xbox Store, however, it is sitting at 4.1 out of 5 stars. Obviously still a great rating, but this is actually not that surprising to me that it's lower than PlayStation, as Xbox has the less powerful Series S system in its lineup, which equates to having a higher probability of having more games with performance problems. Not an excuse for Larian to not have the Series S perfect for Series S users who bought the game, but it logically just makes sense as there's a pattern here with the Series S. And yeah, when you look at the 1-star reviews on the Xbox Store, many of them do appear to be performance related. GOG is showing a 4.5 out of 5 stars, Nintendo 5 out of 5, and Metacritic is still at a 96 critic score with a 92 user score. And no, it's not out for Nintendo. I gotta keep a few of you guys on your toes though, so you stop sleeping during my videos. And out of pretty much every major game in existence, on Metacritic it sits at number 21 of the best games of all time. And if you're curious, Ocarina of Time is currently number 1, and you even have games like Tony Hawk Pro Skater 3 sitting at number 8. The good old days. How about sales, though? Well, we don't really have anything official for current day, but I'll remind you guys, back in March of last year, so almost a year and a half ago, Sven confirmed that Baldur's Gate 3's sales were nearly double that of their previous game, Divinity Original Sin 2. And at that time, DOS 2 was reportedly clocking in around 7.5 million or so copies sold, so that would put Baldur's Gate 3 around the 15 million mark a year and a half ago. So that number is obviously much higher now. Not too shabby for an independent studio that was a rather niche studio before BG3's success. Let's see how many people are still playing Baldur's Gate 3 though, just about 2 years later. Over the past 30 days, and this screenshot is from July 16th, BG3 is still reaching peaks on the weekends that are close to 90,000 concurrent Steam players. So once again, not including GOG or console players. And this is an absolute phenomenal achievement out of any RPG, especially one that many players treat as a single-player RPG. Now that's not to downplay the impact of co-op multiplayer though, as I do believe it played a huge role in the game's success and a huge role in its continued success. A lot of players who might have been intimidated by BG3's dense rule set and full party management were far more likely to give it a shot when friends were there to guide them, learn with them, handle some of the characters, etc. And suddenly what seems like a daunting experience starts to look more like a shared adventure. And from a marketing perspective, multiplayer was absolute gold for this game. Seeing groups of people laughing out loud. Okay, here we go. Oh my gosh! Oh my gosh!
Well, it's a shortcut, right?
I didn't notice that your bard was experimenting with ridiculous strategies.
So can you turn into a cat now?
All right, this is gonna be.
All right, and I'm gonna
here we
waste a
go
scroll
again.
on you. I'm gonna do Featherfall. All right, you're all buffed up. All right, so the next thing that I'm gonna do is I'm gonna throw. I'm gonna drink my potion of Hill Giant Strength, and I'm gonna throw him all the way over there. Well, here we go. All right.
Oh.
Ah, look at that.
Uh-oh.
What happened?
Oh, you threw me into battle.
And just having a blast makes the game incredibly appealing. Achieving 90,000 peak numbers on Steam alone years after release not only indicates that sales continue, but it also speaks for Baldur's Gate 3's replayability. A very important aspect of RPGs to many RPG fans, but something that many studios just don't place a huge emphasis on, or they say that they do in their own words, but it turns out to be marketing bullshit. I just don't give a shit anymore. Sorry. But before we get deeper into this topic, a quick message from this video's sponsor, War Thunder, the most expansive vehicle combat game ever made, and it's free to play on PC, consoles, and mobile devices. Get ready to take command of over 2,500 tanks, planes, helicopters, and ships from 10 major nations, ranging from 1920s biplanes to modern fighter jets and main battle tanks. Battles are intense and immersive with incredibly detailed vehicles, realistic visuals, and authentic sound design that puts you right in the action. With over 70 million players worldwide, you can jump into massive PvP battles across land, sea, and air. Now, one of my favorite aspects of this game is the variety offered, from game modes for every playstyle to deep customization with camouflages, historical markings, and more. You can play War Thunder for free on PC, PlayStation, Xbox, and mobile using my links in the pinned comment and video description. And if you're a new or returning player on PC or console who hasn't logged in for 6 months, you'll get a massive bonus pack across all platforms that includes multiple premium vehicles, the exclusive vehicle decorator Eagle of Valor, 100,000 silver lions, and 7 days of premium account. This bonus is available for a limited time only, so don't miss it. Back to the video. BG3's replayability is much more than just being good or evil. For many players, it comes down to the vast amount of different classes and races to choose from, alongside being able to play as an origin character or a custom character. And we can't forget that Larian released 12 new subclasses in a completely free patch that came out back in April of this year. It's one thing to drop free patches that bring, tiny additions to a game and fixes to bugs, etc. Much of that is even expected. But what Larian did with some of these patches, especially the 12 subclass patch 7 in April, this was completely unexpected and a very pro-consumer move. Many of these patches, aside from the bug fixes and stuff like that, genuinely felt like a thank you, like a real thank you out of a studio with beef behind it, with some meat behind it, opposed to just a stupid PR statement that studios love to make, which there's nothing wrong with that, but they rarely ever back it up with anything that actually, is nice for us fans that we don't have to fucking pay for. You'd be hard pressed to find a studio release 12 subclasses for their game these days for free. Free! In a game that already had 40 plus subclasses at the time. Replayability, perhaps even more importantly, comes from the game's player agency and the unpredictability of the dice rolls and just situations in general. There's so many different orders that you can choose willingly or unwillingly to do things in, and plenty of different ways to solve problems. Larian lets players go absolutely crazy with creativity. This is Matt Mercer of Critical Role, stacking boxes to the sky to break into the bank in the city of Baldur's Gate.
Will work. Congratulations. Now what?
Thank you. That was a big gap there. I did happen to have the slick arrow of transposition. That I can go ahead and just teleport myself on the other side. Look at that, on top of the counting house.
Or Luality's pro move on the Adamantine Forge boss.
We need to drop a potion on me. Hold on.
All of these examples, plus hundreds more, seriously, show potential players that this game, first and foremost, is about having fun and freedom given to the player. And that sells.
Your song sucks.
And if we're going to talk about continued success years after release, I think we have to mention the BG3 modding community. Official and unofficial mods alike. Even though there has been a few minor ruffles along the way, I guess you could say, Larian is clearly a supporter of mods. Free Patch 7 came with official mod support, allowing PC players and even console players. Huge W to Larian, as console players are almost always left out when it comes to modding. To install mods with just the click of a button from within the game itself. Sven Vinka even publicly supports modding in a general sense. Back in March of this year, Sven tweeted out, "Free quality fan mods highlighting your characters and other game genres are proof your work resonates in a unique form of word of mouth. In my humble opinion, they shouldn't be treated like commercial ventures that infringe on on your property. And that was in response to Wizards of the Coast DMCAing someone who made a BG3 character mod for a game called Stardew Valley. Wizards would ultimately take back the DMCA, claiming it was an accident, but believe what you want. Either way, shout out to Larian for supporting mods, and also shout out to the modding community, whether you're doing official or unofficial mods. We appreciate you guys for making Baldur's Gate 3 have even more replayability and cool stuff. Baldur's Gate 3 is clearly still living a great life 2 years after release, but what many people don't realize is that the foundation building for the incredible and supportive community behind this game actually started way back in 2020, possibly even 2019, when Larian released the announcement trailer, followed up by a Q&A and a couple presentations at a few events that they were invited to. Anyone remember when Sven party wiped in his first ever BG3 gameplay presentation?
Okay, well, let's hope that this one's gonna go right. Oh. Man.
Bravo! Now, there might be a few folks out there that will say that's a bad presentation for that to happen, but the truth is that most folks, including myself, actually loved seeing this, and we greatly appreciated watching the damn owner of a studio excitedly play his own game in a relatable fashion. It felt authentic, and we'll come back to that word probably several times. 2020, however, was when Larian put on their first of many Panel from Hell shows, where devs from Larian, including Sven himself, would talk about and showcase Baldur's Gate 3 in progress, while also having a bit of RP fun on the side, or should I say, a lot of RP fun on the side.
Actually, it's Nick. Nick, can you stop eating the grass and come over, please? Nick, is he coming? Nick.
The first Panel from Hell, Larian hired Jeff Keighley to host it. And although the show was great and Jeff did alright, Larian from there on out would host their shows themselves. Now, I don't know if Larian thought this deep into it or not, but in my opinion, dropping the idea of having a third-party host in favor of just having Sven or other Larian devs control the show was a huge positive move for the panels, as us viewers, which included some potential new fans, started to feel like we were getting a much more authentic experience. The opposite of corporate, highly scripted presentations. The panels were chaotic, nerdy, and goofy, just like many of us are. I know I certainly am. But this worked in Larian's favor, and comments like this, which I'm about to show you, were a common appearance on YouTube. As goofy as their presentation may have been, I found it awesome. These are people that love what they do and seem very passionate about their game. This studio is precious. The first panel also announced the release date for Early Access, which was to include an unfinished Act 1 of this 3-act game. When Early Access launched, it sold over 1 million copies in just 6 days. Clearly, Larian was doing something right. Now, before we jump back to the panels, let's briefly talk about Early Access in general. Certainly a model that's often been misused, giving it a bad reputation, and in many cases, rightly so. But the issue here isn't Early Access itself, at least in my opinion, it's how studios handle it. Larian, on the other hand, has shown time and time again that their games genuinely benefit from the model. They used Early Access effectively with their previous Divinity games, and Baldur's Gate 3 was no different. While its Early Access period dragged a bit, to say the least, I'd argue that we wouldn't have the same game today without it. Community feedback that was listened to by the devs helped shape core mechanics, it helped iron out bugs, and build a strong foundation for the rest of the game. And Larian limiting access to an unfinished Act 1 was a very smart move, as it kept most of the game fresh for launch. I think a lot of studios make the mistake of releasing way too much in Early Access. Now, many might say it's not the player's job to help build the game, and sure, that's fair. But for a sandbox CRPG like this, a highly ambitious one, early access wasn't just helpful. I'd almost say it was essential if you want the BG3 that we have today. And in the end, everyone won, so early access was good in this particular case. In the second panel from Hell, 4 months after early access launched, Larian started showcasing fan artwork at the start of the show, showing support and gratitude for the community that was building. And they of course set up, once again, an above and beyond fantasy themed presentation stage with costumes to present to us the show. And believe it or not, most of these staged areas are set up right off or in the main entrance hall at their studio in Ghent, Belgium. I've been there, and I'll talk more about that in the last section of the video. The second half of this panel from Hell presentation, Larian switched to pure live gameplay. Another lesson that other studios could learn from Larian. For the love of God, stop with the scripted, nonsense, pre-recorded, and highly edited bullshit. And let us see your game in its most authentic form. If you're not scared. But why would you be scared? You should be confident in your game. A lot of studios aren't, for obvious reasons. The panel from Hell 3, A Most Noble Sacrifice. Larian rented out a castle, seriously, and they put on this first-person perspective live BG3 RP presentation. Not sure how the hell they were able to get that stream to work in a castle, but it was definitely worth it, at least from a viewer's perspective. Larian was having fun and going all out. Their passion was seeping through the camera. The panel from Hell 4 showcased a new area called Grimforge that Larian was going to add to early access, and the patch for this area actually went live right after the show. Major reignition of the fire within for many EA players, as we had a whole new area to mess around with. Not to mention also the Sorcerer class. For the panel from Hell 5th edition, Larian hired ice sculpturers. I don't know if that's the correct word, or is sculpture even a word? To sculpt an ice mind flayer. They hired one of Belgium's strongest men.
Sounds now.
Yeah, it's gotten a lot.
That must be Jimmy. Jimmy's back. Jimmy's back. All right. Jimmy, we're over here. Jimmy. Jimmy. We're here. Jimmy. We're here. Jimmy. Whoa. Jimmy. No. No, Jimmy. No. Decapitate. What? Jimmy. No. No. Jimmy. What did I tell you not to get caught up in your role? Right. No. Jimmy.
And in this presentation, the focus was to show off the Barbarian class, as you could likely tell by that guy. Many of the early access patches introduced new classes to the game, which kept many of us coming back to try things out. EA started with just 6 classes and ended with 11, with the game's 12th class, the Monk class, being introduced on official launch version 1.0. And yes, that is me, right there. I got to participate in this panel, but Larian said I was too jacked to be the main barbarian, so I instead just dressed up like Jon Snow. That was a joke. For the 6th panel from Hell, Larian set up on an actual stage, and Larian's executive producer David Walgrave put on a metal concert for us. The focus of this presentation was the upcoming Bard class, gnomes, and a ton of highly requested quality of life improvements such as Swarm AI to make the larger battles in the game take up less of your time. The panel from Hell 7 was called Holy Night, and Santa Claus visited the studio.
That coming thing from the roof?
Oh, who's that? Is it
Oh, we have a visitor. Oh, Santa. Oh,
Santa!
Larian also announced, in style, Matt Mercer as the voice of Minsk.
Pop the sucker in and find out.
I will, Santa. All right, popping sucker in.
Nice.
Connection to magic mirror. Santa, young Sven does not know how to put a videotape. Oh, there you go.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
You point, I punch. Villainous face, meet virtuous fist.
And the final panel from Hell, I don't think there was one that I missed. Maybe I did, which took place 3 weeks before official launch. I also got to attend this event. I was not a participant, however. This one showed off improvements and additions to character creation, the Dragonborn race, which was super hype. Larian announced the Dark Urge Origin class, which remains a fan favorite to this day. They had new trailers, they showed us the Monk class, and perhaps most importantly, they showed us the bear. Although a little weird. Ultimately, it was pretty funny to most, and this scene unintentionally gave Larian, I'd say, probably about $500,000 worth of free marketing, as the entire internet was talking about Baldur's Gate 3. Larian even got banned on TikTok, which only helped. Now, don't forget that BG3 was originally planned to release in September of 2023, but Bethesda decided to drop Starfield pretty much right on top of it. Larian said, okay, no problem, and they may be one of the first studios in history to move up an official game release an entire month. Now, I will say BG3 could have used that extra month in the oven, for sure, as Act 3 especially was a bit unoptimized and buggy, but I don't really hold it against Larian, as Starfield was predicted to be one of the biggest, if not the biggest RPG hit of possibly the decade. Well, you know how that went. And on to the final section of this video, what Baldur's Gate 3 has meant to myself and my channel. I did start writing for this section, and next thing you know, I'm 3 pages deep with no end in sight, and this video is already quite long, so I'm going to give you the shortened version of this and save the extras and the more detailed version for its own video. Long story short, though, as many of you are aware, a large part of my channel's success comes from covering Baldur's Gate 3 specifically. I'd say out of my 236,000 subscribers, I think that's how much I have right now, more than half of you are from Baldur's Gate 3 content. And I want to express a huge thank you to all of you that gave my channel a chance, whether that was clicking on a video or watching a live stream, etc. And especially a big thank you to those of you who have been with me since before even early access launched, and you know who you are. YouTube was one hell of a battle to make happen, but BG3's 2-year anniversary marks my 5th full-time year on YouTube. Now, for those of you that are curious, long story short, of course, I quit my previous job the day before BG3 launched into early access, hoping that I could double the $1,500 to $2,000 a month that I was making on YouTube at the time. I really was enjoying it, and I was very motivated doing my own thing and building something for myself and a community. And I really wanted to spend my days, researching video games and lore and entertaining people through funny videos or live streams, etc. And that actually happened, and it only continued to get better and better over the years. And I'm very, very thankful to all of you for that. Now, my job is certainly not an essential job, but it was kind of essential to my own mental health, as it gave me a purpose in life. I know obviously work is not always a purpose, but it really gave me something to work for, and I was happy and I was building something. So it did give me a purpose in life, even though work is not everything, of course. And having an amazing community of people over the years, mostly Baldur's Gate 3 fans, supporting my work and thanking me for it, it feels really good. Like I feel, you feel appreciated in some sense, even though at the end of the day, this is mostly just video game entertainment and it's kind of pointless. People have expressed a lot of thanks for different things that I've done on the channel, and it feels good, and I really appreciate that. Now, also working for myself and experiencing some level of success, you could say, has allowed me to do things for family and friends that I could never do before. I make my own hours, and if my grandma, for example, needs a ride to an appointment, I can be there for her. She doesn't have to stress out over something like that. And even though some of that stuff isn't exactly fun, it's absolutely a blessing to be able to do it. Our time on this planet is limited, and having the means to do so means so much to me, and it probably means a lot to my family members as well. And I owe many of you guys for the ability to be able to do that. And in some ways, I owe Baldur's Gate 3 as well. And that leads me into saying, of course, thank you to Larian Studios for making a game that's actually worth covering and enjoyable to cover, and also a game that's good enough to have a demand for content from you, the viewers, in the YouTube algorithm, because without that, I wouldn't be able to do this as a job. So Baldur's Gate 3, in many ways, it's a great game, and content is wanted for great games. So I owe that to Larian for producing a game like this, which was an opportunity for myself. BG3 will forever hold a decent sized chunk in my memory, as it was much more than just an awesome game to me, because keep in mind, I'm also a player that just really enjoyed BG3. It's one of my favorite games of all time, and I look back at some of my favorite games, and they all mean something to me as a player. But BG3 is more than just that player experience for me. It was almost like a life for me over the past, 6 years or so. There's really no other game out there that I can think of that I would want BG3 to be replaced with. We have a deep, mature RPG here, and you guys know I'm always looking for that. I hate RPGs that are way too streamlined or sanitized or too, babyish. And on top of that, there's a consumer-friendly studio behind it, which makes it so much easier to talk about, as it's just a more positive environment in general. And it also takes place in the Forgotten Realms. I am a huge Forgotten Realms nerd from the Legend of Drizzt book series, which is a series that got me through a lot in life over a very, very long period of time. I think I was reading that series for like 15 years. So it was quite literally a bit surreal at times when I would just take a second to think about, what I get to do for a living. I'm like 40 pages deep into reading lore and reporting on that to you guys. And in this lore, it mentions Drizzt Do'Urden. It just was a bit surreal. Now, some of you may ask why I don't put out a ton of BG3 content these days. Well, the truth is I'm simply burnt out from it. And although I could probably make more money doing so, or I definitely could have, over the past year or so, I think it's more important that I actually enjoy my job. Now, of course, I do need to make money, but I've had success in other games as well, but nothing comes close to Baldur's Gate 3. Now, with that said, when Larian's next game is announced, you bet your ass I'll be all over it. Every type of video and stream that you can think of, I got you covered right here on this channel, including streaming all of like the shows that they do. I'm just so excited for that announcement, because any of you guys that missed the early access period for Baldur's Gate 3, get ready for this next game. There's going to be so many more fans this time around. I'm really excited for a lot of you guys to experience that build up to the actual game launch. I'm sure Larian will do some sort of panel from Hells, and it's going to be a good time playing early access and all that good stuff. Now, I did mention in the video that I was going to talk more about my experience participating in one of the panel from Hells, but I did do a video in the past about that, a really detailed, like 20-25 minute video going over that. I'll leave a link to that down below. It's one of my personal favorite videos. It's pretty fun, and you guys will get some insight into Larian Studios. And that will be it for this video. Big thanks to War Thunder for sponsoring and allowing me to do such a long video and take my time with it. Make sure to check out War Thunder now for free on PC, PlayStation, Xbox, or on mobile, and use my links in the pinned comment or video description to register. Those of you who are new or haven't played for 6 months will also receive that massive bonus pack across PC and console, including multiple premium vehicles, in-game currency, and more. Happy 2-year Baldur's Gate 3 anniversary, and I'll see you guys around, hopefully.